They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Think about that for a moment. Every time you walk into a room, meet someone new, or even post something online, people are forming opinions about you in seconds. These impressions can open doors to opportunities, or quietly close them without you even realizing it. But why is this so important? Because human beings are wired to judge quickly. It's a survival mechanism. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors had to decide in an instant, is this person friend or foe? Can I trust them, or should I protect myself? That same instinct still exists today, only now it plays out in boardrooms, classrooms, job interviews, business deals, and even casual conversations. Research in psychology tells us something fascinating. People often decide whether they like you or trust you within the first 7 to 20 seconds of meeting you. And once that impression is made, it's surprisingly difficult to change. This means that mastering the art and science of first impressions is not just a social skill, it's a life skill. It affects your career, your relationships, your reputation, and even your confidence. Think about the people you've met who left a lasting mark on you. Maybe it was a teacher who commanded respect the moment they walked into the classroom. Maybe it was a friend who made you feel seen and valued within seconds of meeting. Or maybe it was someone who immediately put you off, and no matter what they did later, you couldn't shake that initial feeling. That's the power of first impressions. This audiobook is about uncovering the science behind those moments. Why do some people instantly grab our attention and respect, while others fade into the background? Why do certain behaviors make us trust someone, while others push us away? And most importantly, how can you learn to master this skill so that every room you walk into, every handshake you give, and every word you speak leaves people remembering you, in the best possible way? We'll dive into psychology, body language, voice, and communication techniques. But this isn't about being fake or wearing a mask. True presence comes from aligning how you look, how you act, and how you communicate with who you really are. It's about authenticity meeting skill. By the end of this journey, you'll know exactly how to shape powerful first impressions that open doors, build trust, and make you unforgettable, whether it's in business, relationships, or everyday interactions. So, get ready. Because the next time you meet someone new, you won't just be seen, you'll be remembered. Chapter 1. The Psychology of First Impressions. What really happens in the first 7 seconds? Picture this. You walk into a room full of strangers. Within moments, eyes glance in your direction. Some people smile, others simply look, but whether you realize it or not, each of them is making dozens of tiny judgments about you, all in less than 7 seconds. They're not waiting to hear your life story. They don't know your resume, your past achievements, or your inner qualities. And yet, in those brief moments, they are deciding, do I like this person? Do I trust them? Do I respect them? It sounds unfair, doesn't it? That so much of how people perceive us happens almost instantly. But this is not guesswork or opinion. Science backs it up. Researchers in social psychology have repeatedly found that humans form first impressions in milliseconds, faster than a blink of an eye. Some studies suggest that people form reliable impressions of traits like trustworthiness, competence, and likability in under 1 second of seeing your face or hearing your voice. Now, why does this happen? The answer lies deep in our evolutionary wiring. Thousands of years ago, our survival depended on rapid judgment. Imagine living in a world where you had to decide immediately if someone approaching was friend, foe, or potential danger. That instant judgment often meant the difference between life and death. Fast forward to today, we no longer live in caves or fight saber-toothed tigers, but our brains still operate with the same instincts. We are constantly scanning, evaluating, and categorizing people, almost automatically. So, what exactly are people judging in those first 7 seconds? Let's break it down. 1. Appearance. The silent story you tell. Before you even speak, people notice how you present yourself. Your clothes, grooming, posture, and even facial expressions, all of these silently communicate messages. Are you confident or nervous? Do you appear approachable or closed off? Are you polished or careless? Psychologists call this thin slicing, the brain's ability to take small amounts of information and create broad judgments. Someone might not consciously think, that person is wearing wrinkled clothes, so maybe they're careless, but their subconscious is making connections that influence how they feel about you. This doesn't mean you need expensive clothes or movie star looks. What matters more is intention. Do you show up looking like you care? Do you walk into the room with a posture that says, I belong here? Even small details, like eye contact, a genuine smile, or the way you shake hands, can dramatically shift how others perceive you. 2. Body language. Speaking before you speak. Long before words leave your mouth, your body is already communicating. In fact, research shows that up to 55% of first impressions are based on nonverbal cues. Your stance, gestures, facial expressions, and energy either invite people in or push them away. Think about someone who walks in with shoulders slumped, avoiding eye contact, and fidgeting nervously. Even if they are brilliant, your brain quickly labels them as unsure or lacking confidence. On the other hand, a person who enters with an open posture, steady eye contact, and calm gestures signals confidence and trustworthiness, even before they've said a word. 3. Voice and tone. The music behind the words. Once you do speak, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Research shows that within seconds, people make assumptions about your competence, intelligence, and confidence based on your vocal tone. A steady, warm, and clear voice builds trust, while a shaky, rushed, or monotone delivery can create doubt. Think about leaders, public speakers, or even a trusted friend. The sound of their voice often inspires confidence before their words even sink in. Your tone is the music that carries the message, and it heavily influences how people feel about you. 4. Emotional impact. How you make people feel. Here's the golden rule of first impressions. People rarely remember everything you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Psychologists call this the emotional residue effect. If your presence makes someone feel respected, valued, or uplifted, that impression sticks long after the conversation ends. Conversely, if you leave someone feeling small, ignored, or uneasy, that negative impression will also linger. First impressions are less about information and more about emotion. Why first impressions are hard to change. Another important truth. Once people form an impression, their brain tends to defend it. This is called confirmation bias. If someone instantly perceives you as confident and likable, they will unconsciously look for evidence to confirm that belief. If they perceive you as unfriendly or untrustworthy, they will, often without realizing it, look for signs that support that negative assumption. This is why the first 7 seconds matter so much. It sets the foundation. Think of it like pouring cement. At first, it's soft and shapeable. But once it hardens, it takes a lot of effort to break and reshape it. Your first impression is the wet cement. Once it dries, it becomes part of someone's perception of you. The good news: you can shape it. Here's the empowering part. First impressions are not about being fake, manipulative, or pretending to be someone you're not. They're about putting your best self forward with awareness and intentionality. By understanding the psychology of those first 7 seconds, you can learn to align your appearance, body language, voice, and emotional presence in a way that reflects the real you, the confident, capable, authentic version of yourself. And the best part? These skills can be learned. Anyone can develop the ability to leave powerful impressions. It doesn't matter if you're introverted, shy, or unsure today. By practicing simple habits, you can train yourself to project warmth, confidence, and trustworthiness instantly. Practical takeaway. Before we move on, let's distill this into a simple takeaway. People judge quickly, within 7 seconds. They're evaluating appearance, body language, voice, and emotional energy. First impressions are sticky, thanks to confirmation bias. But you have the power to shape those impressions with intentional habits. So, the next time you walk into a room, remind yourself, I'm writing the story of how I'll be remembered in these first 7 seconds. Walk in with presence. Stand tall. Make eye contact. Speak with clarity. And most importantly, create a feeling of warmth and respect in the person you're meeting. Because when you control the first 7 seconds, you set the tone for everything that follows. Chapter 2. The Nonverbal Advantage. Mastering Body Language in First Encounters. Imagine this. You walk into a job interview. You haven't spoken a word yet, but the interviewer is already reading you like a book. They notice how you entered the room, how you shook their hand, and whether you made eye contact. Without saying a thing, you've already communicated volumes. That's the power of body language. Psychologists and communication experts agree that over half of human communication is nonverbal. Some studies suggest it's as high as 93% when you include tone of voice. That means your body is often speaking louder than your words. And here's the critical part. When your words and your body language don't match, people believe the body every time. So, if you want to master the art of first impressions, mastering body language is your secret advantage. In this chapter, we'll explore the subtle but powerful cues that can make the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. 1. Posture. The foundation of presence. The very first thing people notice is how you carry yourself. Your posture is like a billboard announcing how you feel about yourself. Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you approachable? A slouched posture sends signals of insecurity, disinterest, or even weakness. On the other hand, standing tall with your shoulders back communicates confidence and authority. It's not about puffing your chest out like a soldier on parade. It's about aligning your body in a way that feels open and strong. Pro tip: before entering an important meeting or event, take a few seconds to ground yourself. Stand tall, plant your feet firmly, roll your shoulders back, and breathe deeply. This not only changes how others see you, but also changes how you feel. Studies on power poses show that standing in expansive positions for even a minute can boost confidence and lower stress hormones. 2. Eye contact, the window of trust. There's a reason people say, "Look me in the eyes." Eye contact is one of the strongest ways to establish trust, connection, and presence. When you maintain steady, but not staring, eye contact, it tells people you are confident, attentive, and genuine. Avoiding eye contact, on the other hand, can signal nervousness, dishonesty, or disinterest. Of course, cultural differences exist, but in most professional and social settings, moderate eye contact is a universal sign of respect and confidence. The trick is balance. Too little feels distant. Too much feels intimidating. Aim for a natural rhythm, looking at the person when they speak, holding their gaze when you respond, and occasionally breaking away to avoid making it feel like a staring contest. 3. The handshake, a gesture that speaks volumes. Think about the last time you shook someone's hand. Did it feel limp and weak? Overly aggressive and crushing? Or just right, firm, warm, and balanced? A handshake is often the first physical connection you make with someone, and it sets the tone immediately. A weak handshake may unintentionally signal insecurity, while an overpowering one might feel like you're trying too hard. The ideal handshake? Firm, confident, with eye contact and a smile. It communicates respect and self-assurance in a matter of seconds. If handshakes aren't culturally appropriate or comfortable in your environment, the principle still applies. Your first physical gesture, whether it's a nod, a bow, or even a wave, communicates volumes. 4. Facial expressions, the silent emotion shapers. Your face is a live broadcast of your emotions. Whether you realize it or not, people are constantly reading microexpressions, tiny, split-second facial cues that reveal how you really feel. The most powerful expression you can master? A genuine smile. Not a forced, polite smile, but one that comes from warmth and openness. A real smile softens your face, makes you approachable, and signals friendliness. It tells people, I'm safe. I'm glad to meet you. But beware of mismatched signals. If your words are positive but your expression is tense, people will trust the tension, not the words. Alignment between your facial expressions and your message is crucial. 5. Gestures. Amplifying your message. Gestures are the punctuation marks of body language. They emphasize, clarify, and energize your message. When used intentionally, they can make your communication more engaging and memorable. Open gestures, like showing your palms, spreading your hands slightly, or using smooth, expansive motions, signal honesty and confidence. Closed gestures, like crossing your arms tightly or hiding your hands, can make you seem defensive or distant. One simple rule: keep your gestures open and natural. Don't overdo it, but don't lock yourself up either. Let your hands support your message instead of contradicting it. 6. The space factor, respecting boundaries. Body language isn't just about what you do, it's also about where you do it. Personal space, or proxemics, is a powerful, often overlooked part of nonverbal communication. Stand too far away, and you seem cold or disinterested. Stand too close, and you invade someone's comfort zone, creating tension. The right distance depends on context and culture, but in most professional settings, about an arm's length is considered respectful and comfortable. By being aware of personal space, you show sensitivity, respect, and social intelligence. 7. Mirroring, the hidden connection builder. One of the most effective nonverbal strategies is mirroring, subtly matching the other person's posture, gestures, or energy. This creates unconscious rapport and signals similarity. Humans naturally like people who seem like them. The key is subtlety. If someone leans in slightly, you lean in a bit too. If they gesture lightly with their hands, you do the same. Done with finesse, mirroring creates a sense of harmony and trust. Done clumsily, it feels fake. Practice observing and matching naturally. Why nonverbal cues matter more than ever. We live in a fast-paced world where attention spans are short and judgments are quick. Most people won't give you a second chance to make a first impression. That's why mastering nonverbal communication isn't just a nice skill, it's essential. Think about this. In the first 30 seconds of meeting you, people are deciding if they want to do business with you, if they trust you, and if they want to spend more time with you. Your words matter, yes, but your body language is writing the headline. Putting it all together. Let's recap the key elements of mastering body language in first encounters. Posture. Stand tall, open, and grounded. Eye contact. Steady, respectful, and balanced. Handshake or greeting. Firm, warm, and confident. Facial expressions. Genuine smile, aligned with your message. Gestures. Open, natural, and supportive. Space. Respect personal boundaries. Mirroring. Subtle alignment for instant rapport. When these cues work together, they create what I like to call the nonverbal advantage. They make you memorable, trustworthy, and magnetic, without saying a word. Final thought for this chapter. Body language is not about manipulation or acting. It's about alignment. It's about ensuring that the confidence, warmth, and authenticity inside you are visible on the outside. People can't read your mind, but they can read your body. Chapter 3. The Role of Appearance. Dressing for impact without saying a word. Let me start with a truth many people don't like to admit. We live in a world where people judge books by their covers. It's not fair. It's not always accurate. But it's human nature. In those first crucial moments of meeting someone, before you even open your mouth, your appearance is sending out signals about who you are, what you value, and how much respect you have for yourself and for others. Think about the last time you met someone at an event. Maybe their clothes were wrinkled, their shoes scuffed, or their overall look thrown together without much care. Without even realizing it, you may have formed a quiet judgment. Careless, unprepared, maybe even untrustworthy. On the other hand, someone who walks in polished, neat, and intentional immediately commands respect, even before saying hello. This is the science and psychology of appearance. It's not about vanity or materialism. It's about understanding that your appearance is a form of nonverbal communication. It tells your story before your words do. 1. The psychology of clothing. Researchers have a term for how what we wear influences not only how others see us but also how we see ourselves, enclothed cognition. In one famous study, participants were asked to wear a white coat. When they were told it was a doctor's coat, they performed better on tasks requiring attention and focus. When they were told it was a painter's coat, the same coat had no effect. The lesson? Clothing doesn't just shape other people's perception of you. It shapes your own behavior, confidence, and performance. When you dress intentionally, you are signaling to yourself and others that you're ready, focused, and worthy of attention. 2. First impressions and the halo effect. In psychology, the halo effect is the tendency to let one positive quality influence how we view someone overall. If a person looks sharp, polished, and put together, we unconsciously assume they're also competent, intelligent, and trustworthy, even if we don't have any evidence yet. That's why appearance is such a powerful tool in first impressions. You can control that first positive spark. And once people see you in a positive light, everything else you do is often filtered through that halo. 3. Dressing with intent, the power of context. Here's the key. Dressing for impact doesn't mean wearing the most expensive clothes or following every fashion trend. It means dressing with intent, choosing clothes that fit the context, reflect your personality, and show respect for the occasion. If you're at a job interview, you dress professionally, because it signals seriousness and competence. If you're at a networking event, you might add a splash of personality, like a distinctive accessory, to be remembered. If you're in a creative industry, you can be bolder, showing flair and originality. Ask yourself, what is the silent message my appearance is sending in this situation? Because whether you realize it or not, you are always communicating. 4. Fit, grooming, and details, the silent multipliers. You don't need a closet full of designer brands to make an impact. What truly matters are 3 things: fit, grooming, and details. Fit, clothes that fit well instantly elevate your appearance. A simple, well-fitted shirt looks far sharper than an expensive, baggy one. Fit communicates discipline and attention to detail. Grooming, clean hair, trimmed nails, fresh breath, and neat facial hair. These are small things that make a huge difference. Grooming tells people you respect yourself and, by extension, them. Details, shoes polished, watch subtle but sharp, bag or briefcase tidy, accessories chosen with care. Details are the finishing touches that say, I didn't just throw this together. I thought about it. When these 3 elements come together, you can look like $1,000,000, even without spending much at all. 5. Color psychology, the subtle influence. Colors speak a silent language. They influence how people perceive you and even how you feel. Blue, trustworthy, calm, professional. A staple for interviews and business settings. Black, sophisticated, powerful, authoritative. Perfect for formal occasions, but too much can feel intimidating. White, clean, fresh, pure. Great for a sense of simplicity and openness. Red, bold, energetic, passionate. Use sparingly for a touch of confidence. Gray/neutral tones, balanced, reliable, understated. A safe choice for almost any occasion. The goal isn't to overthink every color, but to be intentional. If you want to project calm authority, wear blue. If you want to stand out with energy, add a touch of red. Let your clothes do some of the talking for you. 6. The role of authenticity. Here's where many people get it wrong. They try to copy someone else's style. They think dressing like a CEO will make them one, or that imitating celebrities will make them magnetic. But here's the truth. People can smell inauthenticity. The best impression comes from alignment, when your outer appearance reflects your inner self. Your clothes should be an authentic extension of who you are, not a costume you're uncomfortable in. If you're naturally minimalist, don't force loud patterns. If you're creative and expressive, don't hide behind dull, lifeless clothes just because you think it looks serious. Authenticity is the bridge between comfort and impact. When you feel comfortable, you act confident. When you act confident, people remember you. 7. The subconscious respect factor. Appearance also plays a role in how much respect you receive before saying a word. Imagine two speakers walking onto a stage. One is dressed in wrinkled, casual clothes. The other is polished, neat, and intentional. The audience hasn't heard a single sentence yet, but already they're leaning in toward one and tuning out the other. Why? Because appearance is a form of respect. When you show up looking like you cared, people feel you respect their time and attention. When you look careless, they subconsciously feel you don't value them or yourself. 8. Appearance beyond clothes. Remember, appearance isn't only about clothing. It's about the whole package: posture, grooming, cleanliness, even scent. Everything contributes to the impression you leave behind. A neat workspace, a clean pair of shoes, a fresh haircut, all these seemingly minor things combine into a single message: I'm intentional. I'm reliable. I pay attention to detail. 9. The everyday rule: dress for the future, not just the moment. Here's a principle worth remembering. Dress for where you want to go, not just where you are. If you want to be taken seriously as a leader, start dressing like one now. If you want to be seen as creative, start expressing that in your appearance. People often wait until they get there to level up their wardrobe, but in reality, dressing for the future role pulls that future closer. Your appearance sets the stage for opportunities. The right impression can open doors before you've even had the chance to prove yourself. Putting it all together. Let's bring this down to the essentials. Your appearance is nonverbal communication, a story you're telling instantly. It influences others' perception and your own confidence. Focus on fit, grooming, and details over brands and price tags. Use color psychology to subtly support your message. Be authentic. Align your outer style with your inner self. Remember, dressing with care is a form of respect for yourself and others. Chapter 4. The Power of Voice. Tone, Pace, and Presence in First Encounters. When we think about first impressions, we often imagine appearance, posture, and the way we shake hands. But here's something most people underestimate: the power of the voice. Your voice isn't just a tool for speaking words. It's a full emotional instrument that conveys confidence, authority, warmth, and trustworthiness. Long before people process what you say, they are reacting to how you say it. Tone, pace, and vocal presence can completely change how someone experiences you in those first 7 seconds. Think about this. Two people can say the same sentence, "I'm glad to meet you," and yet the impression they leave can be worlds apart. One says it with a warm, steady tone, at a comfortable pace, with genuine energy, and you feel welcomed immediately. The other rushes the words, mumbles them, or uses a flat voice, and suddenly you're left uncertain about their sincerity. That's the magic of the voice. It's invisible, but it's powerful. Why voice matters so much? From a biological standpoint, humans are hardwired to interpret voices for survival. Before language developed, tone and pitch communicated danger, comfort, anger, or love. Even today, infants respond to the tone of a parent's voice before they ever understand words. And as adults, we instinctively associate certain tones with qualities like leadership, warmth, or confidence. Consider the workplace. A leader who speaks with a calm, measured tone inspires trust in their team, even in a crisis. But a leader whose voice shakes, rushes, or rises too high in pitch may unintentionally signal panic or lack of control. Your voice, whether you realize it or not, is shaping the narrative about who you are every time you open your mouth. Tone, the emotion in your voice. Tone is the emotional color behind your words. It's what makes people feel not just that they heard you, but that they felt you. Think of how different tones change meaning. A rising tone at the end of a sentence can make you sound uncertain. A deep, steady tone conveys confidence and authority. A warm, slightly softer tone shows empathy and approachability. The best communicators know how to adjust tone based on context. When you're introducing yourself to a new group, a balanced tone, clear, confident, and friendly, creates instant trust. When you're sharing an idea, a passionate tone pulls people in. If you tend to sound monotone, people may unconsciously interpret you as disengaged, even if your words are brilliant. If your tone is too sharp or aggressive, people may retreat. The key is balance, a tone that is both strong and human. Pace, the speed of influence. Have you ever spoken to someone who talks so fast you can barely keep up? Or someone who speaks so slowly that you lose interest? Pace matters. When you rush your words, you give the impression of nervousness or lack of control. People feel like they can't trust or connect with you. On the other hand, when you speak too slowly, your listener's mind starts to wander, and your message loses its punch. Great communicators use pace strategically. They vary their speed depending on the moment. For example, to emphasize an important idea, they slow down and pause. To share excitement, they speed up slightly, injecting energy into the message. To ensure clarity, they maintain a steady, conversational rhythm. A strong pace is like music. It flows naturally, with moments of acceleration and moments of rest. When you master this, your listeners stay engaged and remember what you said. Presence, the authority in your voice. Presence is the invisible quality that makes people want to pay attention when you speak. It's not just volume, it's the energy and intention you project through your voice. Think of the difference between someone who mumbles through their introduction versus someone who speaks with clarity and resonance. One fades into the background. The other commands the room. Presence is built by projection, speaking loudly enough to be heard clearly without shouting. Resonance, allowing your voice to come from your chest and diaphragm rather than your throat, giving it depth. Confidence, believing your words matter, and letting that belief carry in your sound. When your voice has presence, you don't just communicate, you influence. Practical ways to strengthen your voice. Breathe from your diaphragm. Shallow breathing from the chest leads to a thin, shaky voice. Deep breathing gives your sound power and steadiness. Record and listen to yourself. Many people have no idea how they sound until they hear a recording. This awareness can help you adjust tone, pace, and clarity. Practice pausing. Pauses are powerful. They create anticipation, give weight to your words, and help you sound composed. Read aloud daily. Reading a book, speech, or even an article out loud builds vocal strength and control. Warm up your voice. Just like athletes warm up their bodies, speakers should warm up their voices, humming, stretching your vocal range, or practicing scales. The emotional connection of voice. Beyond technique, remember this: your voice is not just a mechanical tool, it's emotional energy. People respond not only to how you sound, but to how you make them feel. A voice that is warm and sincere makes people feel valued. A voice that carries calm authority makes people feel safe. A voice that radiates excitement inspires energy in others. So the next time you meet someone, think of your voice as your handshake. Let it carry clarity, warmth, and presence. Because even before your words sink in, your voice will already be speaking volumes about who you are. The bottom line. First impressions are never just visual. People might notice your clothes or your body language, but the moment you open your mouth, everything changes. Your voice either strengthens the impression you want to give or undermines it. By mastering tone, pace, and presence, you transform your voice into a powerful instrument of influence. You become memorable not because of what you look like, but because of how you made people feel when you spoke. And that is the true power of voice in first encounters. Chapter 5: The Handshake and Beyond. Microactions that shape lasting impressions. When it comes to first impressions, big things like appearance, body language, or tone of voice often steal the spotlight. But in reality, it's the small details, the microactions, that make the deepest impact. These are the subtle cues you send without even realizing it. The way you shake someone's hand, how long you make eye contact, whether you smile genuinely, or if you lean in just a little when someone speaks. People often remember these microactions more than the exact words you spoke. Why? Because microactions communicate authenticity. They reveal the real you behind the performance. They signal whether you're trustworthy, approachable, and confident, or nervous, distant, and uncertain. Think about the last time you met someone new. Maybe they gave you a limp handshake, avoided eye contact, and seemed distracted. Even if they were brilliant, didn't you walk away with a less-than-great impression? Now flip the script. Someone looks you in the eye, smiles warmly, shakes your hand with confidence, and shows genuine presence. Immediately, you feel seen and respected. That's the power of microactions. The handshake, more than just a gesture. Let's begin with the classic handshake. It might seem old-fashioned in today's world of digital communication, but the handshake remains a universal symbol of trust and respect. In many cultures, it's the very first physical connection between two people. And in that split second, it says more about you than you realize. A firm handshake signals confidence and professionalism. A weak handshake can unintentionally suggest insecurity or lack of interest. A crushing handshake might make you look aggressive or overbearing. The sweet spot? A handshake that is firm but not overpowering, accompanied by steady eye contact and a genuine smile. It's not about dominance, it's about connection. Eye contact, the window to trust. Eye contact is one of the most powerful microactions you can master. Too little, and you seem evasive or unsure. Too much, and you come across as intimidating or invasive. The right amount creates trust and signals that you are fully present. When meeting someone for the first time, aim for consistent but natural eye contact, enough to show attentiveness, but balanced with natural breaks so it feels comfortable. Think of it as a rhythm. Connect, release, connect again. Here's the magic. Eye contact tells people, I see you. You matter. And that's one of the most memorable feelings you can give another person. Smiling. The shortcut to connection. Never underestimate the power of a genuine smile. A real smile, not the forced, polite version, immediately puts others at ease. It makes you approachable, trustworthy, and likable. Psychologists call this the halo effect, the tendency for people to assume that if you smile warmly, you must also be kind, intelligent, or trustworthy. A smile activates positive emotions in the person you're meeting, making them far more likely to remember you fondly. But here's the key: authenticity. People can spot a fake smile instantly. A genuine smile reaches your eyes. It's about warmth, not just formality. Microgestures that speak volumes. Beyond handshakes, smiles, and eye contact, there are dozens of microactions happening in every first encounter. Each one has the potential to leave a lasting impression. Posture. Standing tall communicates confidence, while slouching conveys insecurity or disinterest. Head nods. Small nods while listening show engagement and encouragement. Leaning in slightly signals interest and attentiveness. Open gestures. Uncrossed arms, palms occasionally visible. These signal openness and honesty. Mirroring. Subtly matching the other person's body language can create instant rapport and trust. On the flip side, negative microactions, like fidgeting, crossing arms tightly, checking your phone, or tapping your foot, send signals of disconnection, anxiety, or impatience. Even if you never say a word, people pick up on these cues instinctively. The subtle art of timing. Another overlooked microaction is timing. How quickly do you respond when someone extends their hand? How fast do you smile when you lock eyes? How long do you hold a pause before speaking? These subtle elements of timing shape how others experience you. Quick, natural responses show confidence and comfort. Hesitation, on the other hand, can make you seem unsure. Similarly, speaking too soon or cutting someone off disrupts the natural rhythm of connection. Great communicators master timing, not by being mechanical, but by being present. When you're truly engaged in the moment, your timing flows naturally. Presence in the little things. Here's something powerful. Microactions are less about technique and more about presence. When you're genuinely attentive, people can feel it in every small movement. Your eye contact, your nods, your tone of voice. When you're distracted, they can feel that too. Think of presence as the invisible thread that ties all your microactions together. If you're mentally rehearsing what to say next instead of listening, your microactions will betray you. But if you're fully present, curious, interested, engaged, your body naturally aligns with warmth and authenticity. Practicing microactions. So how do you get better at these small but powerful cues? Practice your handshake with a trusted friend or family member. Aim for balance. Firm, not crushing. Warm, not limp. Record yourself during conversations. You'll notice habits, like avoiding eye contact or fidgeting, that you weren't aware of. Engage in active listening. Nod, smile, and use small verbal affirmations, I see, interesting, to show presence. Role-play greetings. Practice meeting someone new. Focus on aligning your smile, eye contact, and handshake into one smooth, natural flow. Slow down. Presence is often about resisting the urge to rush. Give each moment the attention it deserves. Why microactions leave lasting impressions. People rarely remember the exact words you said in a first meeting. What they do remember is how you made them feel. And microactions are the bridge to those feelings. The right handshake makes someone feel respected. The right eye contact makes them feel seen. The right smile makes them feel valued. Together, these microactions create a ripple effect. Long after the encounter is over, people carry the emotional memory of how you treated them. That's why mastering microactions isn't about being fake or robotic. It's about becoming more intentional with the little details that express respect, warmth, and authenticity. Final thought. When people talk about someone who made a powerful first impression, they rarely mention the person's exact words. Instead, they say things like, "There was just something about them. They felt confident, kind, real." That something is built on microactions. The subtle handshake. The spark of a genuine smile. The warmth of steady eye contact. The way you leaned in, nodded, and listened. First impressions are not made only by the grand gestures, but by the small details that whisper louder than words. And when you master those details, you don't just get remembered, you get remembered fondly. Chapter 6. The Art of Conversation. Saying the right things at the right time. First impressions are not only about how you look, how you stand, or the firmness of your handshake. They're also shaped by the words you choose and, equally important, when you choose to say them. Conversation is an art, a dance between speaking and listening, between expressing yourself and drawing others out. Too many people think being memorable is about delivering clever lines, telling the best stories, or dominating the discussion. In reality, the most powerful conversationalists are those who understand timing, tone, and presence. Saying the right thing at the right moment creates impact. Saying too much, too soon, or too little, too late, diminishes it. So, how do you master this delicate art? Let's break it down. Why conversation shapes first impressions. Think about a time you met someone new. Maybe they talked non-stop, hardly letting you get a word in. Even if they were intelligent, you probably walked away exhausted. Or perhaps they gave only short, one-word answers, leaving you to do all the work. That can feel equally draining. Now, remember someone who struck the perfect balance. They asked thoughtful questions, listened with real interest, and responded in a way that made you feel valued. That person didn't just make a good impression. They made you want to keep the connection alive. This is the essence of conversational mastery. It's not about showing off how smart or witty you are. It's about making others feel heard, understood, and engaged. And when you do that, you become unforgettable. The power of listening first. Here's the first rule of great conversation. Listen more than you speak. Why is this so powerful? Because everyone's favorite topic is themselves. When you show genuine curiosity about another person, when you ask questions and actually listen, you immediately stand out. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. It's being fully present, absorbing the other person's words, tone, and emotions. It's responding with nods, small affirmations like, "I see," or "That's interesting," and follow-up questions that show you care. When you listen deeply, people feel respected. And respect creates connection. Asking the right questions. Conversations come alive when you ask the right kind of questions. Instead of closed questions that end with a yes or no, ask open-ended ones that invite stories, insights, and emotions. For example, instead of asking, "Did you like the event?" ask, "What was your favorite part of the event?" Instead of, "Do you like your job?" try, "What do you enjoy most about your work?" These small shifts open doors to meaningful conversations. They show that you're not just filling silence, you're genuinely interested in the person. The role of timing in conversation. Words matter, but timing often matters more. Imagine you're in a group discussion. If you interrupt constantly, people may see you as rude or self-absorbed. If you never jump in, they may assume you're shy, unsure, or disengaged. The art lies in sensing the rhythm of the conversation, when to step back and when to step forward. Great conversationalists wait for natural pauses, then add something thoughtful that builds on what's already been said. Timing also applies to humor, compliments, and personal stories. A well-placed joke can lighten the mood, but forced humor at the wrong time can feel awkward. A sincere compliment can create warmth, but flattery too early can seem fake. The key is to tune in, read the moment, and adjust. Balancing speaking and listening. Think of conversation as a dance between two partners. If one partner tries to lead the entire time, the dance becomes chaotic. If both partners refuse to lead, the dance stalls. But when both take turns leading and following, the rhythm flows naturally. The same is true in conversation. Strike a balance between listening and sharing. After you ask a question and let someone answer, offer something of your own that relates, without hijacking the moment. This creates a natural back and forth, like a friendly game of catch. The magic of storytelling. Humans are wired for stories. Facts and figures may inform, but stories stick. That's why mastering storytelling is such a powerful tool in making first impressions. But here's the trick. Keep your stories short, relevant, and engaging. Rambling for 5 minutes about a personal experience risks losing your listener. Instead, paint a quick, vivid picture that connects emotionally, then tie it back to the conversation. For example, if someone mentions they enjoy traveling, you might say, "I had a similar experience when I visited Italy. I'll never forget how every meal felt like a celebration. It really made me appreciate slowing down." Short, colorful, and relatable, that's what people remember. The right words at the right time. Sometimes, the smallest phrases make the biggest impact. Here are a few conversational gems that create connection instantly. "That's a great point." Validates the other person's contribution. "Tell me more about that." Shows genuine curiosity. I'd love to hear your perspective. Invites engagement. I really appreciate you sharing that. Creates warmth and trust. These simple lines aren't complicated, but they're powerful because they make the other person feel seen and valued. And when someone feels valued, they're far more likely to value you in return. Avoiding conversational pitfalls. Just as certain actions build connection, others damage it. Be mindful of these pitfalls. Talking too much about yourself. Sharing is important, but if it's one-sided, you'll seem self-centered. Interrupting. It signals impatience and lack of respect. Oversharing too soon. Vulnerability builds trust, but dumping personal details in the first 5 minutes can overwhelm. Negative talk. Complaining, gossiping, or criticizing others creates negative energy that lingers. Great conversationalists avoid these traps by keeping the focus balanced, respectful, and uplifting. The role of presence. At the core of it all, great conversation isn't about perfect wording or rehearsed lines. It's about presence. When you're fully present, you naturally listen better, respond more thoughtfully, and pick up on timing. Presence means putting away distractions, silencing your phone, and giving the person in front of you your full attention. It means listening not only with your ears, but with your eyes and heart. People can feel when you're truly with them, and that feeling creates the kind of impression that lingers. Practicing the art of conversation. Like any skill, conversational mastery improves with practice. Here are a few exercises to sharpen your ability. Practice active listening. In your next conversation, focus entirely on the other person. Resist the urge to plan your response while they're speaking. Challenge yourself to ask better questions. Replace yes/no questions with open-ended ones. Share stories intentionally. Keep them short, engaging, and relevant. Pause before responding. Give space for the other person's words to land before you reply. Record your conversations. If appropriate, reflect on your pacing, tone, and balance between listening and speaking. The more you practice, the more natural and effortless it becomes. Chapter 7. The Influence of Emotions. How Feelings Shape First Impressions. When you meet someone for the very first time, you may think they're paying attention to your words, your appearance, or the way you move. And that's true to a degree. But beneath the surface, something much deeper is happening. They're picking up on your emotions. It's not always conscious. People may not be able to explain why they feel drawn to you, or why they feel uneasy. But emotions have a way of leaking through every part of our presence. Our tone, our facial expressions, our gestures, even the way we hold silence. That's why mastering emotions is one of the most powerful ways to shape first impressions. If you can understand how feelings influence perception, and if you can learn to project the emotions that inspire trust, warmth, and confidence, you can leave a mark that lingers long after the first meeting ends. Why emotions matter more than logic. Here's something fascinating. The human brain processes emotions before it processes logic. When someone meets you, they don't start by analyzing your resume in their head or breaking down the logic of your words. Instead, their subconscious asks one question: how do I feel around this person? If they feel safe, respected, or uplifted, their brain gives them a green light. If they feel threatened, ignored, or drained, it sends a warning signal. And once that emotional impression is formed, it's very hard to undo. That's why you can say all the right things, but if your emotions send the wrong signal, people won't remember your words. They'll remember how you made them feel. The emotional contagion effect. Emotions are contagious. We catch them the way we catch a yawn. Spend time with someone who's anxious, and you'll start to feel uneasy. Share space with someone joyful, and you'll likely find yourself smiling. This phenomenon is called emotional contagion, and it plays a huge role in first impressions. People will mirror the emotions you bring into the room, often without realizing it. If you radiate calm, they relax. If you radiate excitement, they perk up. If you radiate stress, they tense up. So, the question becomes, what emotions are you spreading when you meet someone for the first time? The role of confidence. Confidence is one of the most attractive emotions you can project. But let's be clear, real confidence isn't arrogance or dominance. It's not about puffing out your chest or showing off. True confidence is calm, grounded, and steady. When you project confidence, people feel safe in your presence. They sense that you know who you are, that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that you don't need to prove yourself. This instantly makes you more magnetic. Think of the people you admire most. Chances are, they're not the loudest in the room. Instead, they carry a quiet confidence, a sense of assurance that doesn't need to shout. That's the kind of emotional energy that creates lasting impressions. Warmth. The hidden superpower. Confidence draws people in, but warmth keeps them close. Warmth is the emotional signal that says, "You're welcome here. You matter. I see you." Projecting warmth isn't about being overly nice or people-pleasing. It's about being genuine, approachable, and kind. It's the smile that reaches your eyes, the small nod that says you're listening, the relaxed posture that shows you're open. When people feel your warmth, they trust you. They let their guard down. And that's what makes first impressions not just positive, but memorable. Managing negative emotions. Of course, we're all human. We all experience stress, frustration, or insecurity. But here's the key. The emotions you bring into a first encounter shape how others see you. If you carry unprocessed negativity into a meeting, it will leak out, through your tone, your posture, your energy. You might not say anything wrong, but people will feel something's off. That's why emotional regulation is so important. It doesn't mean pretending to be happy when you're not. It means grounding yourself before stepping into a new encounter. Take a few deep breaths. Remind yourself of your strengths. Shift your focus from "what will they think of me?" to "how can I make them feel comfortable?" This simple reframe can transform the emotions you project. The subtle power of empathy. Another emotional quality that shapes first impressions is empathy. Empathy is the ability to tune into the feelings of others, to sense what they might be experiencing, and to respond with care. Empathy isn't about agreeing with everything or fixing people's problems. It's about being emotionally available. When you respond to someone with understanding, when you say, "That sounds tough," or "I can imagine how exciting that must be," you create an emotional bridge. That bridge makes people feel seen. And when people feel seen, they remember you. Reading the emotional climate. Just as you project emotions, you also need to read emotions. Every first encounter has its own emotional climate. Maybe the room feels tense, maybe it feels joyful, maybe it feels uncertain. Skilled communicators pick up on these signals and adjust accordingly. If the energy is nervous, they bring calm. If the energy is flat, they bring enthusiasm. If the energy is scattered, they bring focus. By aligning your emotional presence with the needs of the moment, you become not just memorable, but magnetic. The balance of excitement and composure. Two emotions that play a big role in first impressions are excitement and composure. Excitement shows passion and enthusiasm. It makes people feel your energy. Composure shows steadiness and control. It makes people trust your stability. Too much excitement without composure can feel overwhelming. Too much composure without excitement can feel dull. The magic lies in balancing both, showing enough passion to be engaging and enough calm to be reliable. When you strike this balance, you leave people with a powerful emotional impression, someone they want to be around. Practical steps to master emotional presence. So, how do you put all this into practice? Here are some steps. Check your emotional state before entering. Take a moment to breathe, smile, and center yourself. Choose the emotions you want to project. Confidence, warmth, curiosity. Decide, then embody it. Tune into the other person's emotions. Notice their tone, expressions, and body language. Mirror, then lead. Start by matching their energy slightly, then gradually guide the tone to where you want it to go, calmer, warmer, or more uplifting. End on a positive emotional note. People often remember the feeling they had at the end of an encounter more than the details in the middle. Final thought. At the heart of it, first impressions are less about what you say and more about what you send. Your emotions radiate outward, creating an atmosphere people can sense instantly. If that atmosphere is confident, warm, and grounded, people will remember you with respect and fondness. Maya Angelou once said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." That's the essence of this chapter. Shape your emotions, and you shape your impressions. Shape your impressions, and you shape your future connections. Chapter 8. Dressing the Part. How appearance speaks before you do. Before you've said a single word, before you've offered a handshake, a smile, or even introduced yourself, something has already spoken for you. That something is your appearance. The way you dress, groom, and present yourself sends a message instantly. And make no mistake, people notice. They may not be able to articulate it, but in those first few seconds of an encounter, your appearance tells a story about who you are, how you see yourself, and how much respect you have for the situation. In this chapter, we'll explore how dressing the part influences first impressions, how to use appearance as a tool of communication, and how to align your outer presentation with your inner confidence. The silent language of clothing. Think of your appearance as a silent introduction. Long before your words enter the room, your style is speaking. The question is, what is it saying? Clothing is not just fabric stitched together. It's a symbol, a uniform, a nonverbal cue that tells others how you wish to be perceived. A well-chosen outfit can communicate professionalism, attention to detail, creativity, or confidence. On the other hand, a careless or sloppy appearance can signal disinterest, lack of effort, or insecurity. Now, does that mean your value as a human being depends on what you wear? Absolutely not. But in those crucial first moments, before people know your character, your skills, or your heart, your appearance is the shortcut their minds use to form an impression. Why appearance matters in first impressions. You might have heard the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover." But let's be honest, most people do. Not because they're shallow, but because the human brain is wired to process visual cues quickly. In less than 7 seconds, someone has already made assumptions about you. Are you reliable? Are you confident? Do you take yourself seriously? These judgments happen instantly, and your appearance is the foundation for those answers. That's why your wardrobe isn't just about style, it's about strategy. It's about using clothing and grooming as tools to reinforce the image you want others to see. Dressing for the context. One of the most important principles of appearance is context. Dressing the part doesn't always mean wearing a suit and tie or a formal dress. It means aligning your appearance with the expectations of the environment. In a job interview, polished professionalism matters. At a creative networking event, a touch of individuality can stand out. At a casual social gathering, neatness and authenticity speak louder than overdressing. The secret is not about being the best dressed in the room, it's about being the most appropriate. People notice when you've taken the time to align yourself with the setting. It shows respect, awareness, and adaptability. The psychology of color and style. Colors play a powerful role in appearance. They carry emotional weight and communicate messages without words. Black conveys sophistication, authority, and seriousness. Blue radiates trust, calmness, and dependability. Red signals passion, confidence, and energy. White suggests simplicity, clarity, and freshness. When you choose colors, you're not just choosing fabric, you're choosing emotions. A person who walks into a meeting wearing a sharp navy suit instantly communicates trustworthiness. Someone who enters a stage wearing red draws attention and signals energy. Style, too, carries meaning. A structured jacket speaks of discipline and order. A flowing dress suggests creativity and openness. The small details, the watch on your wrist, the shine on your shoes, the neatness of your grooming, all add layers to the impression you leave. Grooming, the foundation of appearance. Clothing can be stylish, but if grooming is neglected, the impression falls apart. Grooming is the foundation of appearance. It communicates self-care and discipline. Think of it this way. If you don't take care of yourself, why would others believe you can take care of responsibilities? That's the silent logic people apply, often unconsciously. Simple grooming habits, clean hair, neat nails, polished shoes, fresh breath, and a tidy look, speak volumes. They don't require wealth, but they do require effort. And that effort is exactly what people notice. Authenticity and personal style. Now, here's the other side of the coin. Dressing the part doesn't mean losing your identity or pretending to be someone you're not. Authenticity is crucial. The goal is to express the best version of yourself within the framework of the context. If you're naturally artistic, your style can reflect creativity through unique accessories, bold colors, or unconventional cuts. If you're more traditional, a classic, timeless wardrobe may suit you better. The trick is finding harmony, honoring the expectations of the environment while still letting your personality shine. That's what makes your appearance memorable. How appearance shapes confidence. There's an undeniable psychological effect when you dress well. Your confidence rises. Think about the last time you wore something that made you feel powerful. Whether it was a perfectly tailored suit, a beautiful dress, or even a crisp new shirt. Didn't your posture improve? Didn't you walk a little taller? This is called enclothed cognition, the scientific idea that what you wear affects not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. When you dress the part, you start to feel the part. And when you feel confident, that energy radiates outward, shaping the way others respond to you. Avoiding the pitfalls. Of course, appearance can also work against you if misunderstood. Here are some common pitfalls to avoid. Overdressing. Trying too hard can come off as insecurity or inauthenticity. Ignoring context. Wearing casual clothes in a formal setting, or vice versa, signals a lack of awareness. Neglecting details. Wrinkled shirts, scuffed shoes, or poor grooming undo even the best outfit. Copying others blindly. Style works best when it's authentic to you, not borrowed without thought. Awareness of these pitfalls helps you use appearance as a tool of influence, not a source of confusion. Practical guidelines for dressing the part. To put all of this into action, here are a few practical guidelines. Know your audience. Who will you be meeting? What's the setting? Let that guide your choices. Build a versatile wardrobe. Invest in timeless, well-fitting pieces that work in multiple situations. Pay attention to fit. Even the most expensive outfit looks wrong if it doesn't fit your body well. Mind the details. Shoes, accessories, and grooming often leave the strongest subconscious impressions. Develop a signature touch. Something small but unique, a favorite color, a style of watch, or a subtle accessory that makes your presence memorable. Final thought. Dressing the part is not about vanity. It's not about chasing trends or impressing strangers with labels. It's about respect. Respect for yourself, for the people you're meeting, and for the moment itself. Your appearance is the first message you send. And when that message is intentional, aligned, and authentic, it sets the stage for everything else you say and do. Remember this, clothing and grooming don't define your worth, but they do define your presentation. And in the theater of first impressions, presentation often determines whether the audience leans in or tunes out. Chapter 9, Digital First Impressions. Navigating Online Encounters with Impact. In today's world, the very first impression of you might not happen in person. It may not begin with a handshake, a smile, or even a glance across the room. Instead, it might start with a click, a scroll, or a profile picture. That's right. Your digital presence, your online footprint, often serves as the first gateway to how others perceive you. Whether it's a recruiter looking at your LinkedIn profile, a client visiting your website, or even a new acquaintance checking your social media, the impressions you create online carry just as much weight, if not more, than those formed in person. In this chapter, we'll explore how to navigate digital first impressions with intention. We'll discuss how your online presence communicates who you are, how to design it to work in your favor, and the small changes that can create a lasting impact. The reality of digital perception. Here's a truth that can't be ignored. People Google you. Before meeting you, before working with you, and sometimes even before responding to your email, they'll type your name into a search bar. What they find, or don't find, becomes the opening chapter of their perception of you. A professional, polished digital presence sends a message of credibility. A messy, outdated, or careless presence does the opposite. And here's the catch. Silence online is also a message. Having no trace at all can raise as many questions as having the wrong kind of trace. Your digital footprint is not just a record of your past. It's the stage where your reputation is either built or broken. The power of profile pictures. Think about this. On most digital platforms, the very first thing people see is your profile picture. That small square of pixels often carries as much weight as your entire resume or introduction. A professional, clear, and approachable profile picture communicates trustworthiness, warmth, and confidence. On the other hand, a poorly lit, blurry, or outdated photo can unintentionally send the message that you don't care, or worse, that you're hiding. Your photo doesn't have to be glamorous, but it should be intentional. A simple smile, good lighting, and attire that fits your professional or personal brand can do wonders. Remember, this image is the digital version of your first handshake. Crafting the digital bio. Right after your picture comes your bio or introduction. These few lines, whether on LinkedIn, Instagram, or a personal website, act as your opening words in the online world. A strong bio does three things. It communicates who you are. Not just your job title, but your values, passions, and mission. It highlights what you bring, your expertise, skills, or unique qualities that make you valuable. It invites connection. It shows openness and encourages people to engage with you. For example, compare marketing professional at XYZ company versus helping brands tell powerful stories through data-driven marketing. One is static. The other is alive. Which one leaves a stronger impression? Consistency across platforms. Here's where many people slip. Inconsistency. If your LinkedIn shows one version of you, your Instagram another, and your website something completely different, people will feel confused. Confusion leads to mistrust. Think of your digital presence as a brand. Just like successful companies keep their logos, colors, and tone consistent, you should ensure that your image, messaging, and personality align across platforms. That doesn't mean you must be formal everywhere. LinkedIn may be professional while Instagram is more casual, but the essence of who you are should remain clear and cohesive. The role of digital etiquette. First impressions aren't just about static profiles. They're also shaped by how you interact online. Emails, messages, comments, and even the speed of your responses contribute to how people perceive you. A respectful, timely, and thoughtful digital interaction creates trust. On the other hand, sloppy emails, careless comments, or rude online behavior can erode your credibility instantly. Consider this. How you write an email is today's equivalent of how you greet someone in person. A rushed, unstructured message feels like a weak handshake. A clear, polite, and concise email feels like a confident introduction. The visual experience. We live in a visual age. People don't just read your content, they see it. The design of your website, the aesthetics of your social media posts, even the way your slides look in a presentation, all of these visuals shape the impression you leave. You don't have to be a designer to create impact. Simplicity, clarity, and attention to detail are enough. Clean layouts, legible fonts, and consistent colors communicate professionalism. Clutter, poor formatting, and carelessness communicate the opposite. The truth is, visuals often influence trust before content does. If it looks professional, people assume the person behind it is professional too. The dangers of overexposure. But here's an important warning. In the digital world, more isn't always better. Oversharing, whether through constant updates, controversial opinions, or personal details, can backfire. The internet doesn't forget. That one impulsive post, that heated argument in the comments, that poorly thought-out tweet, it can live on, shaping impressions long after you've forgotten it. Digital presence requires balance. Enough visibility to establish credibility, but enough restraint to protect your reputation. In other words, share wisely, because every post is a permanent impression. Building trust digitally. So, how do you use your online presence to create a strong first impression? It comes down to one word: trust. Trust is built when people see consistency, clarity, and authenticity. It's built when your digital presence reflects your real-life character. And it's built when your online interactions show respect, empathy, and professionalism. Think of every digital encounter as an extension of a real conversation. If you wouldn't say it in person, don't say it online. If you wouldn't hand someone a messy resume in person, don't let your LinkedIn look like one. Practical guidelines for digital first impressions. Here are some simple, actionable steps to strengthen your online presence. Update your profile pictures. Choose clear, professional, and approachable images. Polish your bios. Write introductions that are concise, authentic, and inviting. Audit your platforms. Search your own name. What shows up? Does it align with how you want to be seen? Stay consistent. Keep your image, tone, and values aligned across platforms. Be intentional with content. Share insights, not noise. Add value, not clutter. Practice digital etiquette. Respect in tone, clarity in writing, and thoughtfulness in response times. Protect your digital footprint. Think twice before posting. Your future self will thank you. Chapter 10. Mastering the Memory. Ensuring people remember you after the first encounter. A first impression is powerful. But here's something even more important: being remembered. Think about it. How many people do you meet briefly, only to forget their names, faces, or even the conversation just days later? The truth is, most first encounters fade quickly. But certain people? They stay with us. Their presence lingers in our minds. We recall their smile, their words, or the way they made us feel. This chapter is about becoming one of those unforgettable people. Not by chance, not by luck, but through deliberate choices. Because leaving a strong impression isn't just about that initial spark. It's about making sure the memory of you continues to live in someone's mind long after the first meeting. Why memory matters? Being remembered matters because opportunities flow to those who stay top of mind. Employers reach out to the candidate they can still picture clearly. Clients hire the consultant who stood out. Friends and mentors invest in the people who left an emotional imprint. In other words, if you're forgettable, doors close. But if you're memorable, doors open, even when you're not in the room. So, how do you ensure you stand out? How do you move from being just another face in the crowd to someone impossible to overlook? Let's break it down. The power of presence. It starts with presence. When you meet someone, are you truly there? Or are you half distracted, half engaged, glancing at your phone, or thinking about your to-do list? People remember those who made them feel seen and heard. Full attention is rare in a world of constant distractions, and that rarity makes it unforgettable. When you lean in, maintain eye contact, listen deeply, and respond with genuine interest, you carve your place in someone's memory. They may not recall every word you said, but they'll remember how present you were with them. The power of emotion. Here's something fascinating. Memory is deeply tied to emotion. We forget the ordinary, but we remember the moments that made us feel. Want to be remembered? Connect emotionally. Make someone laugh. Share a story that moves them. Offer encouragement when they least expect it. Leave them with a spark of inspiration. Maya Angelou said it best, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." This is not just poetic, it's psychological. Emotion locks memory in place. Saying something worth recalling. Words matter. But not all words stick. A forgettable conversation is one filled with clichés, small talk, or empty chatter. A memorable one contains something unique, something that makes the other person pause and think. You don't need to deliver a grand speech. Sometimes, it's as simple as asking a thoughtful question no one else has asked, or offering a perspective that shifts their thinking, or leaving them with a phrase that echoes in their mind long after. If your words bring clarity, encouragement, or insight, people will remember you as the one who gave them that gift. The subtle art of stories. Humans are wired for stories. Long before we had books or screens, we shared knowledge through storytelling. And to this day, a good story is what makes someone unforgettable. Instead of only talking about facts, your job, your background, your skills, wrap them into a story. Share how you overcame a challenge, learned a lesson, or discovered your passion. Stories are sticky. They make you relatable and real. More importantly, stories travel. People may not repeat your name immediately, but they will share your story with others, keeping your presence alive. The role of small gestures. Sometimes, it's not the big things, but the small gestures that lock you into someone's memory. It could be remembering their name and using it. It could be following up after a meeting with a quick note of appreciation. It could be complimenting something specific about them, not in a generic way, but in a way that shows you noticed. These gestures are powerful because they're rare. And rarity creates memorability. The impression of consistency. Here's something most people miss. Being memorable isn't just about one encounter, it's about reinforcing it. Think about a musician you hear once on the radio. You may enjoy the song, but you quickly forget. Now, think about the artist whose songs you hear over and over. Soon, they're unforgettable. In relationships, the same rule applies. Following up, showing up again, staying in touch. These repetitions ensure you're not only remembered, but remembered fondly. Consistency turns a fleeting impression into a lasting presence. Authenticity. The core of memorability. And yet, none of this works if it's fake. Forced smiles, rehearsed lines, or insincere flattery might make you noticeable in the moment, but they won't make you memorable in the right way. True memorability comes from authenticity. Being unapologetically yourself, showing your real passions, and connecting with sincerity. People sense authenticity. They trust it. And trust is the foundation of lasting memory. Practical strategies for staying memorable. Let's turn these principles into actionable steps. Be fully present. Put away distractions and give someone your undivided attention. Create emotion. Aim to inspire, uplift, or move people, not just exchange words. Say something unique. Share insights, ask thoughtful questions, or offer a fresh perspective. Tell a story. Wrap facts into narratives that stick in people's minds. Use small gestures. Remember names, follow up, and give specific compliments. Reinforce the connection. Stay in touch, even in small ways, to keep yourself top of mind. Be authentic. Let your true self shine, because authenticity is unforgettable. The long game of memory. Here's the secret. Being remembered isn't about impressing someone once. It's about building a place in their mind over time. It's about becoming the kind of person whose presence leaves a positive mark, not because you tried to manipulate the impression, but because you genuinely offered value, connection, and authenticity. The people who are truly unforgettable are not those who demanded attention. They are those who gave it. They are not those who sought to be admired, but those who sought to connect. Final thought. First impressions open the door, but being remembered keeps it open. In every encounter, you have two choices: to be another face that fades into the background, or to be a presence that endures in someone's memory. And the difference lies in how present, authentic, and intentional you are in that moment. So, as you step forward, don't just ask yourself, "How can I make a good first impression?" Instead, ask, "How can I create a memory that lasts?" Because the people who master memory don't just get noticed, they get remembered, respected, and invited back. And that is the true art of leaving an impression that stands the test of time. Grand conclusion: the lasting power of first impressions. We've come full circle. From the very first chapter to this moment, you've explored the subtle, powerful, and often underestimated art of first impressions. And now, it's time to tie everything together into a single truth. Every encounter you have is a chance to shape the way the world sees you and remembers you. Think back to what we've covered. In Chapter 1, you discovered how much happens in those first few seconds: the snap judgments, the instinctive feelings, the silent evaluations that shape the course of every relationship. In Chapter 2, we explored the silent but loud language of the body: posture, eye contact, gestures, that communicates your confidence before you even open your mouth. In Chapter 3 and Chapter 8, we dove into appearance, reminding you that the way you dress and present yourself speaks volumes, long before you ever say a word. Chapter 4 showed you that your voice is more than sound. It's presence, rhythm, and energy that can draw people in or push them away. In Chapter 5, we slowed things down to the small but mighty microactions: the handshake, the nod, the subtle choices that leave ripples in people's minds. Chapter 6 was your guide to conversation, reminding you that words carry weight, and saying the right thing at the right time is an art anyone can master. In Chapter 7, we uncovered the influence of emotions: how people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Chapter 9 expanded this into the digital space, teaching you that online impressions, your profiles, your tone in messages, your presence on a screen, matter just as much as in-person encounters. And finally, in Chapter 10, you learned that first impressions alone are not enough. The true mastery lies in ensuring you are remembered, not just noticed. Taken together, these chapters aren't just lessons, they are a toolkit, a guidebook for becoming someone who doesn't just enter a room, but transforms it. Someone who doesn't just meet people, but leaves a mark on them. Someone who doesn't just get remembered, but gets remembered for the right reasons. Here's the truth I want you to walk away with. You don't need to be the loudest in the room to be unforgettable. You don't need to be perfect to leave a lasting impression. What you need is presence, authenticity, and intention. Because when you combine these, you don't just shape impressions. You shape opportunities. You open doors. You build relationships that last. You create a personal brand that speaks louder than introductions ever could. Your call to action. So now, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you walk into your next meeting, your next interview, your next coffee chat, your next digital interaction with the same old habits? Or will you walk in differently, aware of your body language, intentional with your words, thoughtful with your presence, and ready to make every encounter count? Remember, your life is a series of first impressions, moments where the world is deciding who you are, what you stand for, and whether you belong in the spaces you aspire to. You now hold the tools to master those moments. Use them, practice them, refine them, and watch as doors that once felt closed begin to open wide. A final word. I want to thank you for taking this journey. Listening, reflecting, and applying these ideas means you're already ahead of most. Because while others drift through life leaving accidental impressions, you will leave intentional ones. While others fade into the background, you will be remembered. Carry this with you. First impressions are not just about being seen. They are about being remembered, respected, and trusted. So step forward with confidence. Show up with authenticity. And let your presence speak louder than words ever could. Because the world is waiting to meet you. The question is, will you make it a meeting they'll never forget? Closing call to action. If this audiobook inspired you, if you learned something valuable, or if you now feel more prepared to leave your mark on the world, I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs it. And most importantly, apply it in your own life. Knowledge only matters when it becomes action. Let's not just make first impressions together. Let's make lasting ones.